everybody. Today we are learning about Piet Mondrian, who is an artist that was born in 1872. Here you can see two of his pictures. One is a younger man with one of his paintings behind him, and then one of him as an older man. They're in black and white because he was born in 1872. Just like a lot of artists, Piet Mondrian began painting the things that were around him. Landscapes, buildings, trees, whatever he saw in the world, he would paint. These are some of his early works here. I would say the first one is probably a house or maybe a barn building. And then the second one is a tree in which when he started to go into his darker phase using less color. And then at one point in his career, he had this shift where he wanted to explore how line and color worked together in harmony. Instead of painting things exactly as they looked, he wanted to play with the different creations he could do, doing strictly straight lines that are perpendicular to each other or running parallel, and not curved or diagonal at all. The other thing that he really focused on, this painting here is one of his, is the color. If you look at these pictures that he has painted, you'll notice he focuses on three colors. Which colors do you think those are? The primary colors. So red, yellow, and blue were his main colors, and then he used white and black as his accents throughout, either by not painting a section and leaving it white or by adding a black pigment to it. Over time, his work became more and more simple, but that didn't mean that it went faster. He really studied how the lines and the shapes and the squares and the rectangles all worked together to create the feeling he wanted for his paintings. And they became so widely popular that he continued this same approach to painting for over 20 years. Yes, 20 years of only using yellow, red, and blue to paint with. But as you can see in this picture, he had many paintings hanging in art galleries or public places where people could see them on display. And not only did his paintings reach people through their painting, his work was actually recreated on fabric and turned into dresses that these women are wearing, which it's in black and white, but of course they're red, blue, and yellow squares on that dress with the black lines on there. So his study of lines were both vertical and horizontal, vertical going up and down, horizontal going across, right to left, focused on those primary colors mixed in with that. So we are going to create ourselves a primary colored Mondrian style whale. You're going to need your pencil, an eraser, a ruler, a black Sharpie, and then something red, yellow, and blue to color with. It could be a colored pencil, crayon, marker, watercolor, whatever you enjoy. Turn your page so that it's wider than it is tall. And we're going to start with the back, top, and front portion of our whale. We want that back line to leave a little room at the bottom so we have room for her tail to loop around. So we're going to start just below the middle of our page, round those corners, and then go down to where you want your whale to end. Then we're going to curve this line around and bring it all the way back to the far right side of our paper. We want to go past the line on the back of the whale by about 3 fingers. Just lay your fingers there. You can kind of see about how far you need to go on your paper. Just bring that over. It goes just past there. Then we're going to round that line up and create a little twist for our whale's tail. Off the back side of this whale here, we're going to add that kind of OK symbol that we do with our fingers, but we don't want it to quite connect. We're going to round it up and stop just before we get to the back of the whale. So it's almost a circle, but not quite. We want to leave a little space between her back and that tail. Before we do the next step, we need to figure out the opening here and find where approximately center is to make the part of the whale's tail that comes together in that heart kind of shape in the middle. I'm going to say my center is about right there, so I'm going to place a dot, and then I'm going to connect that dot to my OK symbol over here with a giant rainbow shape. Then we're going to do another rainbow shape to the other side, but we're going to do a little flip up because we want this tail to be swimming and twisted in the air. And then we'll just connect these last two lines together with a curved line or a straight line, whatever you like for your tail. Now we've got our body done. We need to add a giant eye up here in the front. Like so. You can color that pupil in already. Next, we're going to outline our whale in our black Sharpie. Just go over those pencil lines, draw right over the top, and then erase any pencil lines that are left. Once you have that all taken care of, we're going to start to add some lines to our whale. You can do this with your black pen already, or you can do it in your pencil first if you're worried about not liking where you place your lines. There's no right or wrong to where we put our lines, but we want them to be horizontal, so going up and down from the bottom of our page, which means that our ruler is perfectly lined up with the right or the left side of our page. It wouldn't go this way. It would be the same distance away from the edge to keep it straight up and down and vertical lines. Other than vertical, we can do horizontal or straight across lines. Again, the edge of your ruler would be lined up and the same distance away from the bottom or the top of your paper when your ruler is horizontal. So we don't want to do any diagonal or crisscross lines. We want everything to be going straight across or straight up and down. So we're going to start by adding a couple of lines in there. Again, it doesn't matter exactly where, but we want to vary where they start and where they stop. So I'll do one there from the back, from the top to the bottom. And then I'm going to add another one from that line back to the whale's tail. We don't want all of our lines to be going all the way from the front to the back of the whale or from the top to the bottom. We want them starting and stopping in different areas. Add one towards the front here. And then I'm going to go from the one I just drew all the way over to the back of the whale's head. And can you see how we're creating these different shapes by starting and stopping these lines in different areas of our whale? We just want to keep working that way until we've added enough lines that we can fit nothing bigger than a penny in our boxes. I'm going to go a little quicker now. Just know your lines do not have to line up with mine perfectly. We just want to create all types of different size boxes in both square and rectangle shapes. I'm just going to slowly keep adding some of these. You can watch and try to follow along, or you can create your own method. You see, I just keep adding lines in different directions until I get lots of different shapes and different points where my lines start and stop in the same area. And I'll move into a different area. Went over that line a little, so I'm just continue that one across. Make sure to keep varying whether they're vertical or horizontal. On the edges, we won't have rectangles because we've got a little bit of a curved line on our whale. That's okay. That outer portion. Just keep playing until you've got small little squares and rectangles that are no bigger than a penny or the end of your finger could fit in. These all look like they're kind of all lined up perfectly straight, so I want to divide these up and have different shapes in there. So I'll just add a line in that box there. I'll go up. Just create some stair steps so your boxes start and stop in different areas. Do the same thing going down here. Just adjust different rectangle heights. Break up those areas where they look identical. I'm going to come back here and work on his tail a little bit. You can continue your lines from that top flipper, skip the area outside of your whale and just come down here, or you can do your lines starting just at the bottom or just at the top. Sometimes it's easy just to add a lot of boxes in there and then start to add those lines that break them up. Once you get a bunch of them in there, and just start to add lines between different ones in different heights. And then that breaks up that area and makes it look different. So it doesn't look like you just have a checkerboard, which is what we want to avoid. We don't want like a chess or a checkerboard where all the squares are perfectly lined up with each other. Once you have finished adding all of your lines in, again, there's no right or wrong, just once you're happy with it and you feel like you've got enough different starts and stops and places and it looks kind of like a busy subway map, then we're going to start to add our color. We're going to do red first. You can color as many or as few squares as you want to start. I just like to kind of spread that color out around my whale. Again, Mondrian did this practice for over 20 years, so don't feel like you have to figure it all out on try one. This is a fun technique to do with any simple shape. In fact, I will show you once we finish our whale how to do it with the penguin shape from our animal lesson, if you've done that one, which is also a video in the art immersion class. So you can follow the shape of your penguin and then add these same lines in and create a really cute Mondrian style penguin. The only thing you have to keep in mind when choosing shapes is you want something that's basically just an outline without a lot of detail. We're adding these boxes in and making it geometric. If we had a lot of detail to fill in, these boxes would cover it up and you would lose part of your drawing. So if you're searching for shapes to do, look for very easy silhouettes or outlines of shapes. Try to make sure that when you're using the color and you're spreading it apart, that you're doing both shapes that go horizontal and vertical in the color so that you have a mix or variety of red shapes when you look at your whale. All right, once you think you're about done, we'll move on to the next color. You can always go back and add more red in. Next, we're going to add some bright blue in there. Primary color blue. Did you all catch on that these are all primary colors, red, yellow, and blue? So all Piet Mondrian used were primary colors plus black and white. For 20 years, I still can't get over that. It's so long to use the same colors. And especially with paint, where you could easily mix them together and create new colors, that he wasn't tempted to do so. It's just amazing to me. I have found that I really like the way it looks when my boxes are diagonal from each other. So I often will kind of start there with adding my second color, putting them close to my red or my first color, and then adding that diagonal line up. Not always, but it's a good start. But you can play around and see what you like best. Maybe you like yours spread out more. Maybe you like more white spaces. And don't be afraid to turn your book if it's easier to color in a certain direction. Rotating your work is very much okay. It helps my wrist not feel like it's going to twist off. It helps me color a little quicker. And just keep adding until you think that the blue is done. Then you can add your last color, yellow, everywhere else that you would like it. And then if you feel like you need to add some additional red or blue back in, you can keep adding those in too. There's nothing that says you can't start back over with the other colors and add additional. Just find what you like. I think the yellow really makes an impact and change in the way the picture looks overall, from being kind of dark to making it brighter and happier. If you wanted to color in every single box a different color, you could totally do that. It's not the typical Mondrian style, but this is Mondrian inspired. So if it inspired you to have a totally red, yellow, and blue whale, then you can do that. You could recreate this whale or even a different shape and do different colors as well. We just stuck with these primary colors for our first Mondrian inspired one, since that is what he used for so long in all of his paintings. Feel free to share any of the Mondrian inspired creations that you make, even if they're not using the red, yellow, and blue coloring when you do upload pictures in the classroom. All right, and there is my Mondrian inspired whale. I can't wait to see what you do with yours. Be sure to upload them in the classroom. But real quick, I'm going to show you another option to do this with the penguin from our animal lesson this week. So if you draw that shape of the penguin, you can go ahead and add those same horizontal and vertical lines within each shape. On the head of the penguin, I made my horizontal and vertical lines align with the circle or the top of his head instead of the top of my paper. And then I just used different shades of gray to color mine in to make it feel more penguin, but you could totally do this in the same approach with the primary colors as well. Share anything you make.